All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our 10 a.m. session of the 2020 Liberal Arts Symposium. It's very exciting to have you all join us for a first time virtually. We would love to be welcoming you all to A100 in Broombaugh Academic Center, but unfortunately we are currently presenting to you from our dining rooms, our living rooms, and wherever you all are coming to us from. We're glad to have you all joining us this morning. So I wanted to be Assistant Professor of Integrated Media Arts, and I am one of the faculty mentors for Fisher's honors thesis that she is doing through the Integrated Media Arts program. And so we'd like to welcome you all. Obviously, we would love to be welcoming you to campus, but we're happy to have you here this morning via Zoom. This session will be recorded, so if anyone does need to join or leave at an earlier time, you can catch this session at a later time. We will be recording it. So I did want to just briefly mention, Fisher started out her research and her interest, and I would say her passion for film early on in her career at Juniata. She started out with making different individual passion projects, shooting footage of her family members and friends, and working with a video production team. And throughout all of that work, she has become a very well-rounded film student and a future. She's a senior this semester and will be graduating here in the next week or so. And so I would argue she is very well prepared for her future career. For this project, she worked in the fall with both myself and Hannah Bellwoar as her faculty mentors. She drafted a script and had everything planned out to do the production in the spring. And as you all know, since we are presenting to you from our homes, not everything went as planned for the spring semester. And so Fisher has been working really hard with her team. She has a team of 5 students that are working with her directly to help produce the film and do all of the filming, editing, all of the work on the film itself. And she'll share more about how our transition to remote learning has impacted the project, and also how it has probably given her some good experience on what to do when things don't go as planned. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Fisher Stroud.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to the session today. I know it's weird because it's on Zoom and all, but I'm hoping that this will go smoothly. So as Ryan mentioned, due to, everything that's happened this spring with COVID-19, unfortunately, we were unable to complete full production on the film. So for the meantime, we have filled in the missing scenes with illustrated animatics, storyboards, added in some ambient noise so we can still have the full story. And hopefully those scenes can be completed at a later date if possible. I don't really have anything else to say, so if we want to get started, does that sound good?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. All right, is it up? Okay.
there's nowhere to hide. Don't let me sleep too late. I often return, but it's never the same as when you were mine. Don't let me sleep too late.
So he doesn't use meta language. This is just what we use to deconstruct what's going on. It is a meta language.
Dirk in here. Thank you.
So he doesn't use meta language. This is just what we use to deconstruct what's going on. It is a meta language term.
There's nobody better than you. It took me a while till I knew, but you knew from the start it was us, didn't you? It just took me a while till I knew. Now I lay as I study a blank wall. Would you spare me your voice if I call? 'Cause you waited and watered my heart till it grew. You just grew a little smarter too. So I don't blame you if you want to bury me in your memory. I'm not the girl I ought to be, but maybe when you tell your friends, you can tell them what you saw in me and not how I turned out to be. There's some kind of burning inside me. It's kept me from falling apart. And I'm sure that you've seen what it's done to my heart, but it's kept me from falling apart. Now here I lay as I wonder about you. Won't you just tell me what I'm meant to do? 'Cause I've waited and watered my heart till it grew. You can see how it's blossomed for you. And I don't blame you if you want to bury me in your memory. I'm not the girl I ought to be, but maybe when you tell your friends, you can tell them what you saw in me and not the way I am. And I don't mean to make your heart blue, but could we be what we're meant to be? I'm just about to beg you, please. And then when you tell your friends, you can tell them what you saw in me and not the way I used to be. 'Cause there's nobody better than you.
You could watch comedy or rom-com.
Disney man?
No. Horror?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Hey, Mom. She must have already left. I guess you guys can put your stuff in the living room.
Okay.
He feels a little chill. Can I bring him this blanket? Sure. All right.
Thank you. It's sad when a mother has to speak the words that condemn her own son. I couldn't allow them to believe that I would commit murder. We'll put him away now. As I
Am I
showed
more
him
entertaining than the
years ago.
movie?
He was always bad.
Shower's open.
In the end, he intended to tell
Carol,
them I
did you bring a
killed those
towel?
girls and that man.
No.
As if
Hey,
I
Eddie,
could
can
do
you borrow one of
anything
yours?
except just sit and
Yeah,
stare.
sure. Cool.
Like one
I
of
shower.
these stuffed birds. Oh, they know I can't even move a finger, and I won't. I'll just sit here and be quiet, just in case they do suspect me. They're probably watching me. Well, let them see what kind.
This is totally one of my favorite movies.
Really? I still think we should have watched Frozen.
No, this is like 1960s. Like, do you know how many other movies have been based off of this? This is like cinematography history right here. Like, put this in a museum. Like, look at this. This is like
He doesn't use metal language. Just what we use to deconstruct what's going on. He uses metal language terms.
Karen showed me those photos. You think that's okay what you did? Do you see that this is weird?
You think that that's weird?
Yes.
She's practically a stalker. She follows you around everywhere that you go, and she's always staring at you. That's freak behavior, if you ask me.
Do you know how weird this is?
You think that that's weird?
Yes.
She's literally a stalker. Can't you see that? She follows you around everywhere that you go, and she's always staring at you. That's freak behavior, if you ask her. If you ask me.
Oh, she's just a shy person, you know? And maybe she hangs out with me all the time because you're a total bitch and
Are you kidding me?
everything. Yes, and now you start cutting out her head from photos. You know, Alina, you're my friend, but that's freak behavior.
She literally has pictures of you that she has drawn in her notebook, like hundreds of them. That's what's weird behavior, okay? I don't want her around. I don't want her a part of this friendship. It's not
I
okay.
like her and I want her around. And if you can't deal with that, I don't know. Like, I think we're done then. Because
That's
you
all you have
can't
to say because
accept
of her?
this friendship.
Because of that freak?
She's not a freak. She's just a normal person and she wants to be my friend. You can see that, like...
Fine, I'll go. You. I can't believe you.
Just leave. Did you hear all this? I just don't know.
All right, well, Fisher is getting set back up. I just wanted to chime in quickly. Some of you joined us in the middle of the film, and I'd like to welcome you. Welcome to Liberal Arts Symposium 2020. We just previewed Fisher's film, She Is. And I just wanted to mention, if any of you were unaware, Fisher has some really unique fine art skills, illustration and storyboarding. And I would argue those came in very handy to help facilitate kind of some of those missing scenes that have been unable to be recorded due to us leaving campus abruptly. And so I'll let Fisher get herself ready. And she wanted to share some more information about her team, the folks that helped create the film, and some of our past alumni that helped support the film throughout the creative process.
Is it possible to unmute the crew members?
Yep. Can do that right now. So Allie. All right, let's see, I've added Allie.
I think I can't see everyone who's here, but I think Ashley, Haley, and Allie are here. Is Colin? I know Laura can't be here, but is Colin here?
Haley. We have lots of participants. Hold tight.
Whoops.
It's okay.
I don't see Colin.
Oh, thank you, Allie.
All right. All right, I see Haley. Haley, can you see us or hear us?
Yes.
All right.
Yay.
Gallery view, we can see everyone who's joining us this morning. All right, I'll leave it set up in speaker view. And so we have Haley and Ashley joining us, one screen. And Ali is with us, and Fisher, if I see any of the other crew members, I can add them, but I don't see anyone else right now under the participants.
Okay, awesome. So I definitely don't think this project would have been possible without the help of my crew. I remember in fall semester bouncing ideas off of Ashley, asking like, is this crazy? Is this a good idea? Should we do this? And everyone on my crew was just such a positive influence and was really helpful in giving me the confidence that I think we needed to succeed, and also to succeed as a director. And also, I'm also really grateful for the experience that I had working on some of the senior films in the past, on Katie Brown's and Jacob Novak's, because that kind of it set the standard, and also kind of helped me figure out how you actually do this kind of thing. So that was really great. I don't know if any of the crew wants to say anything about that. That would be cool.
I definitely found it to be a pretty positive experience. And obviously, I wanted to thank you for inviting me to work on the short film. I definitely found that it was, one of the best things was definitely working with the people on it. I found that's a pretty important factor when producing something of that sort. And I was really happy to, I guess, to have that experience of being behind the scenes. And overall, you know, despite the limitations, I thought it turned out pretty well.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a really fun experience. I think it was great that it was so collaborative and everyone was really supportive, and it was really, really fun to work with everybody on like this kind of bigger production. Yeah, and Fisher was a great director. I usually do theater, but she was really good when directing me on film, and I felt really comfortable. So it was really fun.
I'm glad to hear that.
We can open it up for questions. So if there isn't anything specific that any of you had wanted to share, I know some of your other crew members are in separate sessions right now. So we can always post a Q&A later. But I just wanted to mention, if anyone had any questions, we've got a lot of attendees. You can either unmute yourself or you can type a question in the chat box.
Thank you.
So Ripley asked the question, what was the hardest part of all of this? So what was the most challenging portion of the project?
Well, besides having to do a whole portion of the movie and storyboard, which was difficult because I think in the other scenes, that the filmed scenes that we have, something that was so great that I think Haley was able to pull off really well as our cinematographer was the movement in the camera, because I think it really, it's really innovative, it looks really interesting, it's more engaging than just still shots, and I think that was kind of lost in the transition to storyboard, which is unfortunate. I think that probably the hardest part for me, and I think the rest of the crew can say what their own individual difficulties may have been, but was probably struggling with the creative side of it, that I wanted it to be what I had imagined, and the fact that it wasn't going to be that was definitely the most difficult part to kind of wrangle. But overall, I think it ended up being a positive experience, and I'm pretty happy with the final product.
All right, we have another questions from Jen. How did the idea of the illustrations come about? Was it planned from the beginning? It is such a unique element, and Jen's mentioning that she really enjoyed it.
The illustrations in the storyboard?
Yeah, the storyboarding sections that were added in.
Well, I think what happened is that I really wanted to complete what we had, and I'm lucky that I can draw, so I was like, this is the only way that I think we can continue to visually represent this, so I got to work storyboarding.
So I have a question for you, Fisher, related to that. Do you see the opportunity now to create other future films that have some type of hand-rendered illustration and storyboarding as part of the film and not as kind of a placeholder?
I would definitely like to do that. I think something that I have been trying to figure out is that I'm really passionate about fine arts and drawing, painting, but I also really enjoy film and cinematography. So finding a way to blend those together would be great. I mean, being something like a storyboard artist would be really cool. Doing cinematography is also really interesting to me. So I think that might be a way that I could potentially blend them. And I also like to play with animation. So that could be a way that we could blend the two media together. I wanted to ask to the rest of the crew, what was something, Ripley asked about what the hardest part of all this was. Is there something in particular that you guys think that you struggled with or that you learned or was a challenge in the filmmaking process?
I think it was fun to work with the gimbal more because we didn't have a tripod really, and so we worked with the gimbal to get those movement shots, and I don't have a lot of experience with that, so it was really fun to practice that more and work with the gimbal more to try to do those movement shots, and I think it worked really well, but it was kind of a challenge at first. I guess I found it challenging to be on camera. Usually, again, with theater, you don't have to watch yourself afterwards. But yeah, it was a learning experience. So it was, yeah, really great.
Probably for me, it'd be the movement of the actors. That one scene where they're all coming into the house.
Yeah.
And me and Colin had to move back with using the boom pole, and Colin would always hit the boom pole when the roof was pretty challenging.
Yeah, that was very difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, something that there's the fight scene at the end of the movie, and we were probably going to have to choreograph that also with camera movements. So kind of nice that we didn't have to struggle with that at the end of the day, but I'm sure that would have also been a challenge. I see that Ripley has another question. What was the inspiration thought process behind the song/music choices? I think this is a relevant question because this whole story was actually inspired by the music that you heard in the film. The artist Mitski makes a lot of, I would say, very feminine music. That sounds weird, but it has, I think, this very feminine feeling to it, and has feminine themes, which is something that I think is really present in this movie. And so I was listening to the song that's happening during the montage, and I was just coming up with the ideas for the movie, and that's kind of where it all started from. So I feel glad that I was able to find a way that it could actually fit in to the movie, so I can kind of pay homage to that, which is cool.
Hey, Fisher.
Hi, Hannah.
I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
Can you talk a little bit about your inspiration, in particular, things that you incorporated into writing as you're working on the screenplay?
Yes. As Hannah knows, during the fall portion of the project, we spent a lot of time doing research on by watching films and also watching articles that had to do with kind of the psychological aspect of film, and particularly the gaze involved in film and how the director's gaze influences the interpretation of the audience. And so I think something that we watched a lot of Alfred Hitchcock films, which were definitely an inspiration in writing the screenplay, because he has a lot of show, don't tell, which is something I try to incorporate into the film. And we also watched films like Hereditary by Ari Aster, which is just a very unsettling movie, and I was hoping to incorporate those kind of themes into my work. And also, fun fact, in the scene where they're at Adelina's house when they're watching the movie and having the sleepover, the audio that's coming from the TV that's kind of muffled is actually from some of the Psycho scenes, which is also a movie by Alfred Hitchcock. So that's a nice little Easter egg for you. But yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks, Fisher. What was most here? I'll ask one more question about the screenplay. What did you find most challenging about writing this piece?
I think something that was challenging was the transition of doing a screenplay that is mostly visual into writing a screenplay that's mostly visual, basically, because it's a lot of description, and it sometimes feels difficult to move the story forward, because I think dialogue can do a lot of the heavy lifting for us on that, but I had to be thinking very visually as I was writing the screenplay, and it was difficult because I was like, well, why don't I just only do the storyboard? I don't think I really need a script for this. But ultimately, I think it was very useful, especially during production. I made sure that everyone had a copy, and we were able to reference it, but also figure out what would actually work better, because it in my original screenplays that I didn't adjust to put into the film. There are definitely things that changed in the process of putting them into actual motion. So yeah.
Thank you.
Right, I was just going to mention, if we have any other questions from any of the participants, feel free to unmute yourselves. You can also turn your video on so we can see you.
I think Jenna asked a question in the chat.
All right. When did you first come up with your project idea? At the beginning of the fall semester or prior to starting your senior year?
So as I mentioned, since I worked on the two projects during my sophomore year and my junior year, I already knew that since sophomore year that it was something that I wanted to do. So I was thinking about it for a long time. But I think the idea ultimately came to me, I think, spring semester of my junior year when I was working on Jacob's film Y-Men. I mentioned listening to the music, but also I think working in that creative environment, I think, helps foster the creativity of others. So that was helpful for me. Ripley says that Jordan asks, if you had to change something about the content of the movie that isn't the fact that the coronavirus altered your plans, what would you change? That's a difficult question. I think that, I can't say right off the top of my head what I think I would change. I think that I would like to, for me personally, and I would like to get better at writing dialogue. And I know that I don't think it's my strongest point. And I think I was able to hide that a little bit by not having very much of it during the movie. I think that all of my wonderful actresses were able to make it work very well, which I appreciated very much. But that's something that I think I would like to get stronger at and not feel like it's something that I have to kind of shove under the carpet during the movie.
Fisher, we have one more question from Jen. What does the film mean to you?
Jen, that's a big question. I think that, so as I mentioned in response to Hannah's question, something that I wanted to explore was the idea of the gaze in film and how the director can influence the audience to feel a certain way about certain characters or thinks a certain way about how the plot is going through how the camera moves. That's particularly what I wanted to look at, or through what they're showing and what they're not showing. And I think a lot of the gaze is represented through a male gaze, particularly in film. And I think we see a lot of that, especially in Alfred Hitchcock's work. So I think what was important to me as a female director was to represent something of a female gaze, and also with the subject of the film, also be able to represent a queer gaze. And I think that was, I think that was the most important part for me. And also, in just terming of meaning, to me, is just a really great, I think, creative expression for me and to explore. So it's a basically a creative exploration, I would say.
Awesome. I know our session is ending here in just a few minutes. So if there are any final questions, we have just a couple minutes left. And if there are not any final questions, I wanted to thank all of the film crew, the actors, the actresses, I should say, Fisher and her team, Hannah Bellwoar, everyone that participated to help make this happen. I would like to personally say I think it was a huge success, even with all of the challenges of this semester. And I want to encourage everyone to follow the extreme talent that participated in this film. Each of the students that were part of Fisher's senior capstone project all have individual talents that I see many of them going into different fields. And since we are at the end of the semester, I just wanted to encourage you all. We're going to be off technically for the summer, and I want to encourage everyone, follow the work that they're doing. Keep up with them, Instagram, Facebook, whatever social media platforms, and follow what they're working on and continue to encourage them to do this great work. So Fisher, we had up to 38 attendees today. So just wanted to thank everyone. We've got lots of great feedback in the comment section. Hopefully you were able to see that as you were presenting. And if we don't have any other final questions, we can end the session.
All right, well, thank you so much to everyone for coming. I really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you.